Alright, so today we're going to be taking care of replacing out the tongue jack. As you can see, at the standard height that it sits at, we've got the hitch on the Jeep a little further up, as far as we can get it, and it still sits a little bit above that. So what we're wanting to do is actually remove the tongue jack. It is pretty heavy in size, and the easiest way that I found and most secure way to do this safely is to put a piece of 2x4 up in the middle and actually lift up on this so that I can then lift the tongue jack up out of the way and let this kind of fall into place. The bad thing about this is, since I put on the batteries, this bar right here, the tongue jack is actually hitting. So right now I've had to be holding it up with some of the green strap to basically get it up off the ground, which is why we're gonna be taking this off today and coming in and actually cutting some of this frame structure out and working on that. So let's get to it. So, as you can tell, it wasn't extremely hard, but in my opinion, it was extremely unsafe. I have had the tongue jack actually kind of give out on me, and it actually fell, the whole trailer fell, almost hitting me. I've had the piece of wood not want to sit in there right. As you can tell, it is moved at a little bit of an angle. So to me, it's just a safety feature. And then also the tongue jack that's on here, I've been told is about 90 pounds. So that's the other reason that we're wanting to get rid of that and just go with a standard crank up. So let's go ahead and get this pulled in the garage and we'll go from there. Now, as we discussed, I got the battery switch in there, so I'm going to turn the battery switch on so it will charge. Okay, so after I was trying to get as much off as I could with the grinder, my grinder just can't get these angles in. I did get a lot of it from the bottom up. Got some of this top area. I'm going to come in with a Sawzall now and continue the cut and go from there. And as you can see, we have that on. We have a little bit of ground clearance, so we can do some of our basic driving around town, going over smaller speed bumps, stuff like that without hitting. But any trail ride, we would not want that down in that position. But it is about the same height as the sliders, so we should be good. What we've done is made sure we got one of the removable pins, and then we also got the top turning style, where that flips back out of the way. And if we are going to go on trails, we're just going to pull that out and remove it, and that's the reason for that. This can either go in the back of the box, back in here, or we can turn it upside down and it will get us our clearance. I've also ordered an additional one of these little round parts I welded on, and I'm most likely going to weld one of those up, possibly like up in this area or on the inside, somewhere where we can store it when we are doing tougher trails. So I'm not 100% sure where it's going to go yet, but it will be put out somewhere. Also, as you can see, I finally finished this area here up. I had the chain wrapped around this, and although it worked, it wasn't solid. I got additional carabiners to clap it on, and what I've ended up doing is use these side here so we can take this off. If we are going on trails that have a lot of debris and stuff that's going to catch these chains, where it could be an issue of it getting in the way instead of tying it up, this just allows us to completely remove it from the trailer 100%. I hadn't cut this one off yet. I kind of like it just for kind of almost the nostalgia of it. Obviously I can't use it on this vehicle just because this is so large, but we've got this tied in. We've got our emergency brake ran through it. As we showed in the last video, we got the red light to show that it is engaged, so we can test it, make sure we got power and everything. The box has still got a little bit of work to clean up. I'm not using all of the different switches. I've still got some of that in the works of what we're doing. And if I hadn't showed you, I put 2 additional outputs on the side here, and these are the same as the quick chargers. I forget the name of them. And what I've done is run a wire, 2 of them, into the boxes, and we're able to plug it in here and run it up into the actual tent or in the back. I'll grab one of those out and kind of show you how that works. Alright, and as you can tell, we've got our basic storage. This is the box here I was talking about. Some of the stuff we've done for travel purpose. We've got our standard equipment in here, some sleeping bags, tied on straps. I was able to pick this up here for $5. This is one of the old style cargo nets. And our plan for that is, we noticed when we threw the chairs, these are so lightweight that they were trying to catch wind. So those are able to come in and we can clip it onto the trailer, or even onto these little D-ring attachments that I put in. But for this box here, if we open it up, I've got the cable with a fuse on one side, and it's going to plug into the outside of that box, and then the other side of it is going to run our power into right here. This allows me to close this up. At the time, I did not receive the red lights in the mail yet, so these are just the two whites. I'm going to put two reds on this side, and we've got our USB with our voltage output. And let me go ahead and hook this up just so we can show you. Plug that in. Plug that in there. Now if we hit the little on-off button, it tells us we have power into the box, and by turning it on we can tell how much power we have. We've got a standard 12-volt outlet, just for like cigarette lighter, and additional USB. I've also got the quick charger, so this is a 3.0 amp, and this one here is also the 3.0, just for additional charge. We've got the two lights there, and these were actually a little bit bright. I think I'm actually gonna put on a second switch on this side, one for each light, and then I've got to add in my red light for this side, just for the nighttime difference. And the part I really liked about this was, with all this being enclosed, as you can tell, I put in a fuse block. You can't really pay attention to the wires a little bit, just the way that these plugs are. I had to actually use my red as my negative and my black as my positive. Not my favorite way of doing it, but that's just sometimes how it's got to work. But we've got our fuses in, we ran our switches through, and as you can tell, we just put them in, and it's a little box that stores everything we need in it. So I went ahead and finished this up just to kind of show you guys what was going on. So as I showed you before, we had the white, and now I can manually turn off just this individual light. This one passes the power to this light, to the switch, and then if the switch is in the on position, it allows it to come back to this one. This one's done the same way, so you can turn them on, or you can just turn off the one, and this just allows, if you're in a real dark area or brighter area and you want more or less lighting on it, for what it is. And then, as I said before, you can turn the on switch on. You can figure out how much your battery actually has at the time. It is on a trickle charge right now, so as you can tell, it is up at that 13 volts. If I was to start the vehicle, it would probably go up from there. And showing you on the inside of this again, just we've added a little bit extra. I have put the second wire to this side here, going to the red lights, whereas this one here is to the white. And they're wired the same way. They come up to hit as your input power, output power to your one light, output power to your second switch, and then goes in. So this is the basic, and then as you saw earlier, it is able to have both of the actual wires wound up in here with a little bit extra space. And this is nice because you can put it up in there, throw it around. The kids can set stuff on it if they need. You got all the charging ports, 4 USBs plus a regular cigarette lighter. This cigarette lighter will not supply enough power for like a heated blanket or anything, but it would supply it for maybe a fan or anything else of that sort. And that's what we've got going on, is a couple fans and other items. I might end up even putting in additional USB on this side just for the fan. My original idea was to have 2 of these to go up, one for inside and one for in the back of the camper, but with the way I did the lights on the camper, I'm not worried about making a second one of these on the trailer. I did get these pretty cheap off of Walmart.com. They were a third party, so they ended up being like $7 or $8 a piece on a clearance, which is why I got them. They're just a cheap knockoff Rugged, but they do hold up for what they are.